Thanos is back. I crushed all the way up to the top 20 with this Thanos list. Let's take a look. This is the list that I have been playing. It was featured in my Goliath video, and it is still just crushing right now. One of the things working in Thanos' favor is that there are kind of a lot of different decks that seem to be roughly equal power level, and Thanos being one of them means that it's no longer getting forced out of the game by hard targeting. It's not a deck that has a wide variety of good matchups. I think the way I think about it is most of your matchups are pretty good, and then a couple of them are really bad. But on the whole, this is a deck that is extremely well positioned, extremely powerful, and extremely unexpected, which is crazy to me because Blue Marvel's Spectrum Thanos has basically never been the right way to play Thanos, and the fact that it actually kind of makes sense now is a testament not only to the various ways in which the devs have improved the Thanos stones over the last few months, but also to the improvement of Ongoing as an archetype, which is a little bit represented by Goliath, but also, of course, by Sam Wilson. This is a very powerful, mid-rangey tempo deck that looks to get ahead on the board using Thanos' stones early and accelerate into a powerful late game with Wiccan, the Time Stone, Mockingbird, and of course, using the power of side buffs like Blue Marvel and Spectrum in order to catch your opponent off guard, not just with your power, but with where your power is. Thanos is the keystone here. You have a lot of really powerful things to do just as a baseline in this deck. Your good draws are a lot better than other people's good draws. But for my money, the real stars here are the stones, which so many of are ongoing now. And that is what's really taking this deck to the next level, is that it gets to be a solid Goliath deck because so many of the stones are ongoing, which also allows you to be a Spectrum deck, which allows you to do surprising things on the final turns of the game. It mucks up your opponent's math and understanding of how many points you have at various spaces. This is to say nothing of the fact that Thanos himself, off of a space stone, can get into locations you aren't supposed to get into. So, on the whole, what this deck gives you is an incredibly powerful, proactive game plan with a lot of baseline power, very strong nut draws, relevant tech to the current metagame in the form of Super Skrull, but you can customize that slot as necessary as other things become relevant, and the ability to use Cosmo very proactively, and also, and this is incredibly crucial, upgrade your lanes that are full in ways that catch your opponents by surprise and make them think twice about how many points they can play in a location to make sure they've won it. That surprise is a big part of why this deck works right now. While you do have 6 1-drops in the form of the Infinity Stones, you are still a Wiccan deck, and you want to stack the odds a little bit more in your favor so you don't end up in situations like being forced to play the Reality Stone on turn 1, which sometimes you are forced to do, although it doesn't really pay off all that much. This is, of course, a good card generically for what this deck is trying to do. You are filling up lanes all the time. This is a deck that can very easily fill up the entire board. Frankly, sometimes it has problems with getting too full, which is where cards like Blarvel and Spectrum come in terms of giving your lanes that extra oomph while not being in those lanes. This is, of course, just a very valuable card. Ongoing, gets bigger, you're gonna fill the lane up, gets buffs from Spectrum. It's all you can ask for. I don't particularly know if Goliath is required here, but I do think he's probably, maybe not best in slot, but I can't think of much that I'd rather be doing necessarily. I mean, maybe you could just play Iron Patriot here and the drop-off isn't that real, you know what I mean? But the more you go away from ongoings, the less this whole deck makes sense. And at the 2 slot, I think it's very hard to come up with another 2 ongoing that really wants to be here. And the more you substitute ongoings out and play other cards, the more you might just want to be a different build of Thanos to begin with. So I do think he's fairly crucial. I guess you could try Lizard, but I'm not sure I would feel super confident in Lizardo instead of Goliath. Dazzler has been just amazing. Just a very, very powerful, cheap card. You sometimes have to worry about this card getting to Shang-Chi range. That's a 2-drop. And granted, that happens with a full board and a spectrum. But you have to worry about it, like, it comes up. And so when your 2-drop is like, sometimes I have to play around Shang-Chi with my 2-drop, I think you can reasonably understand that in the context of this deck, that's a really powerful 2-drop. Sam Wilson is sort of the bridge between the Thanos part of this deck and the ongoing part of this deck. It's great to have Sam Wilson, even if you don't draw Sam Wilson, because you are a deck that really wants to fill the board up thanks to Dazzler and Ant-Man. But B, also because of Spectrum, also because of Blue Marvel, I would go so far as saying, like, the fail case of Sam Wilson in this deck, which is that you just don't draw him at all, is better than a lot of cards' actual success case, just by making a guy that is an ongoing and is on the board and does discount Mockingbird. Not drawing this card is better than drawing a lot of cards. And then when you do draw this card, it is basically like having Angela for ongoings. Extremely powerful, extremely useful, genuinely is kind of a linchpin here. Cosmo is kind of this deck's secret weapon. You have 2 tech slots, and Cosmo and Super Skrull are what we're using them on right now. There are just a ton of really good Cosmo moments when you play this deck because you're so good at getting ahead, because you're not super worried about the ability, like clogging yourself basically, because you have so many ways to back buff lanes, whether that just be like having Dazzler in a location or having Goliath in a location or Blue Marvel or Spectrum. All of that works, so you basically get to play Cosmo with impunity. You're a powerful enough deck that you're going to have priority a lot, and Cosmo is really relevant in all of the matchups that Super Skrull isn't, basically. And so having those 2 in the deck means that you're covering a very wide swath of things. A lot of things that would otherwise be bad matchups can be flipped on their head by Cosmo or by Super Skrull, and that's sort of what they're in here for. These are cards that play for impact. These are cards that take someone snapping on you and make that actually bad for them. Speed is big as hell and is an ongoing. I'm not going to say he's required. I think you could probably play normal Captain America if you felt like replacing Speed because you didn't want to spend 6,000 tokens. That would be a reasonable thing. I would rather play normal Captain America than spend 6,000 tokens on Speed. He is quite good here, though. Like, this is just a very tall guy. A lot of the thing about your ongoings is they tend to be wide. They tend to go wide, so you kind of sometimes lack the ability to just go really tall. This is another card that's like, it's not going to be like super worrying in terms of Shang-Chi, but like if you're curving out, it's very possible that with a Blarvel, with a Spectrum, this is going to be like 11 power. And that's just really good for 3 energy. I covered El Skrullerino a little bit earlier when I talked about Cosmo, but yeah, you pretty much get what this guy's here to do. He is here to flip your sort of losses into wins, basically. If you can do a Super Skrull and like copy a Gore or several Iron Men or really whatever, you're probably going to be doing something powerful in a fairly unexpected way. Now, this is not a thing that's locked on being Super Skrull. That's a metagame thing. You're doing a meta call by doing this. However, it is sort of relevant that this is what's in at the 4 slot and Shang-Chi isn't, because this just plays a lot nicer with a Cosmo. Shang-Chi and Cosmo kind of push against each other. Skrull and Cosmo, not only are they both ongoings, they work together. You're not locked into being a Wiccan deck, but it really helps when you can be a Wiccan deck. He's not a required card per se for the ongoing part of this archetype, but for the Thanos part, it's best to understand this deck as like it's a normal Thanos deck with a lot more ongoings than normal, right? So the ongoings are filling similar roles as the non-ongoings, and it's meaningful that there is no ongoing card that can fill Wiccan's role. It's not like he's the greatest card on Earth, but you're curving out a lot. And when you are curving out, playing this on 4 is a massive upgrade, especially because it just gives you so much freedom to do the right stuff on the final few turns of the game. One situation in which playing 4 Wiccan can be suboptimal, however, is if there are locations that limit your ability to play, or if you're up against Clog. In cases like that, playing a bunch of small stuff early to curve into Wiccan can be dangerous because it limits your total point output by taking up those spaces with the small stuff. Blue Marvel is great here. This is a deck that is extremely willing to close a lane fairly early and count on Blarvel and Spectrum to make that lane gain like up to 12 more power after closing off. That's a really powerful thing to be able to do, and that's to say nothing of cards like Dazzler and Goliath that get bigger in those lanes as you play stuff elsewhere. This is a very solid card for that part of the strategy, and there's really not a lot of people playing Killmonger right now, which is sort of the ultimate bane of decks like this that are invested in using the stones as relevant bodies. It's also excellent just as an ongoing card, and of course, the fact that Sam Wilson just puts a dude on the board is obviously very solid here. Spectrum's ability to go wide and tall at the same time is very felt in this deck. She can play for like nearly 20 power sometimes. When you have the right draws, this card is outputting a pretty massive amount in terms of the numbers you're putting on the board. Sam Wilson's Shield and Sam Wilson, that's 2. You get a couple of the stones with ongoings like Space Stone or Soul Stone. There we're at 4. A couple more cards like maybe a Speed, a Dazzler. Suddenly you're looking at 6, and then that's like 19 power. And like that's a pretty normal draw. Like that's just the kind of thing that can happen. You do not need a lot to make this card very impactful. Mockingbird is another card that is served very well by Sam Wilson. This is a card that is just obviously incredibly powerful in this deck. There are enough created cards. You're very often getting a meaningful discount here. This is a card that can get to 0 very quickly, and Sam Wilson basically starting it at 5 is a pretty crazy thing for a deck like this. If you asked me, what is it that made Thanos good in this context? A lot of it is Sam Wilson effectively unnerfs Mockingbird, and then the Soul Stone allows Thanos to be a 5/12. If you go like Soul Stone, Time Stone, Thanos is a 5/12 that can't get Shang-Chi'd, which is like a shockingly relevant thing to be. In addition, there's another metagame thing going on here, which is you're a deck that fills up all the locations, so Juggernaut is very rarely going to work on you. All of those sort of loop around when we talk about Mockingbird because she gets discounted by the stones. She does not die to Shang-Chi. She's often free enough that you will be able to use her to fill up locations on the final turn of the game. You might not like it, but this is what peak Marvel Snap performance looks like. That is my Thanos split, and I credit it for everything that I've accomplished with this deck. This is, of course, a deck that is built around Thanos existing, but I think the real thing that's helped this deck get better is the sort of interactions where like 3 of the stones now have ongoing abilities. That's extremely powerful. The fact that the Space Stone allows you to get into clogged off locations, the fact that the Soul Stone prevents Thanos from being a Shang-Chi target, the extra 2 power that he got means that like these stones sort of combine in ways that are very hard to deal with. Like, just bluntly, a 5/12 that can't be Shang-Chi'd and always starts in your hand is great. That is a great card. And so Thanos always starting in your hand, the fact that he can't get Shang-Chi'd a lot of the time and you can rug pull people with that, the fact that you can play him into closed off locations a lot of the time and you can rug pull people with that, the fact that 3 of his stones are ongoing abilities and you can use that to give extra power to them with Spectrum or to get extra power from them with Goliath. It's just kind of a total package here. And that is sort of the difference between Thanos of 2 years ago, I guess, and the Thanos of now, is that there's actually way more hooks with ongoing. And so finally, Spectrum Thanos gets to be a real deck. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been KMBest. We're about to jump into some gameplay. Remember, check it out, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. It has been my pleasure. Left, in addition to a hazmat. And so if they played 6, we'd win a tiebreaker. But they played 7. What is happening? Is this another clog deck? Oh, sure. Derbeppo, thank you for the tier 1. We win the tiebreaker by 2 points. I hate when things happen. $13, so it's a mirror? Oh, nope, it's, right. They're 1 card less than me, because Thanos starts in hand. No images is nice, but this hand is not great. It's a little heavy. I play the 2 here because the 1 gives me the most flexibility to still get towards a Wiccan. Well, that's good news. That was my speed, you jerk. Larval. That's actually really scary. I don't know if that means I can win or not. That is weird. Thank God it was that. It's a good day to not have a 401k. Ain't that the fucking truth? Ain't that the fucking truth? Enough to, like, get reliable bots. Negatives, like, this is sort of the problem with the context, right? The premise here is that Mr. Negative is going to beat bots. That's not always going to be a thing you can do. I'm aware that it can beat other decks, but the reason it's at the top of your rankings there is because it beats bots. Like, again, I don't feel like you're really hearing what I'm saying. Like, I'm aware that it can do other stuff. Not a lot of good stuff for them here. I guess that's a thing. A little scared of getting Enchantress. Read that like a book. Two, three, four, six. Okay. Are gonna win, it's gonna be with a surfer on the left play. Game crashed, I see. My boy is a 5. So I've got some worries that Spider-Ham means it's a Darkhawk deck. That was going left, yes. Okay, Spider-Ham Zoo then. We're looking at a zoo. We're looking down the barrel of a zoo gamer. Okay, honestly, I no longer know what we're looking down the barrel of. Arsham? No. Okay. That's not that big of a guy. Sick nasty. Like, not get a fucking Thanos mirror where I draw worse. Actually, I would just... Oh, okay, this hand is... Oh, fuck. Oh, God, the giveaway's never happening, chat. It's over. With this hand... Okay. Hand got a lot better with that top deck, but it's still not great. Am I getting clogged? Ew. So with a Wiccan, I'll get 2 extra energy. Do I lose to this? One, two, three, maybe? No, I don't. Okay, we are good. We are good. I don't remember what this guy was playing. I was trying to remember. I have no idea. We've played like 3 times. I have no fucking clue. That's helpful. Bounce. I mean, that would make some sense. Even the avatar over here. I'm about to get fucked. This is about to go here. I can feel it. Don't do it, man. Yes. Thank God. Okay, there goes the Hawkeye. Ooh. That's really interesting. Really interesting game, yeah. Tiebreak win, baby. We'll take those. Never gonna see fucking gaming news. It just ain't me. I miss old Soulstone. I actually like new Soulstone a lot more. Is that weird? I really enjoy it. I like them both. Okay, Mr. Centrist. Reddit.com/r/enlightened centrism over here. Gross. Terror Take? I have an econ degree. They're pretty fucking stupid. Right on time, Wiccan. You're doing amazing, honey. Okay, so what's about to kill me here? Is it like Enchantress on the left and something big here? Enchantress Mall? Yeah, I mean, so we're at 8, but we're like technically at 7, which is 16. That actually works for me. Guess who's indestructible? Ain't that nice?